There are several arguments made by the opposing team regarding the effectiveness of the United Nations as a tool for bringing about global peace. Of those arguments, there were three primary focuses. The first was how the Declaration of Human Rights has done a significant amount to reduce global poverty and improve international relationships between countries. The second was that the UN provides a mediating force during international or severely escalated intrastate or intra-country conflict, and how they play a third-party mediator to countries attempting to resolve boundary conflicts as well. And thirdly, how the UN brings together the varying minds and cultures of different international communities and focuses their attention on pursuing the improvement of social, political, and economic commonalities that need to be improved on a global scale. The Declaration of Human Rights is a powerful and emotionally provocative title for a document that has not lived up to its desired goals. Defining what constitutes as a basic human right sounds great in theory, but having a government entity decide what is right and what's wrong within a multicultural community is overall impossible. Western society cannot dictate what other countries believe to be true. Everyone has a right to their own beliefs and lifestyles, but Western culture is set as the gold standard for how people should be treated in every society. One intent that the UN holds close is the reduction of global poverty. But poverty is still a widespread issue that has yet to be resolved and only seems to be worsening over time as the economic divide between the rich and the poor widens. International relationships are on shaky ground with the lack of respect given to our current U.S. president and his return disregard for the UN itself. One problem with the UN being a mediating force during international conflict comes in dual parts. The first aspect is that although the UN is technically a conglomeration of countries and all of their agreements to come together and work together, it's still technically a hegemonic power. So any country that is lesser in social, political, or economic wealth is going to be at a disadvantage when they are negotiating with a country such as the US, Russia, or China. And the UN, even though they attempt to remain impartial and unbiased within a conflict, there will ultimately be a clear side that they are representing when they get involved. For example, when the UN brought resources and soldiers to Rwanda during the Rwandan genocide, first and foremost, they took care of the Tutsis who were being slaughtered by the Hutu rebels. Although UN soldiers were only there to protect citizens who managed to reach their camps, but because they were there to negate conflict and bring about peace to the area, the UN should have been an equal resource for Hutu rebels as well. This is not the reality of that situation, but complete unbiased action on the part of any governmental entity representing multiple countries will have to pick a side at one point or another. They position themselves as a metaphorical Switzerland within conflicts, but this unbiased defense of human rights does not and will never completely stand firm in the face of war and violence. The UN is built on an agreement where countries bestow power to the name of the governmental entity because they believe in what it represents. Unfortunately, as people withdraw their respect from the UN or if they lose faith in it, the weight of their decisions weakens. Bringing together powerful allies into a union with smaller countries will always cause a problem because of the issues of the smaller, less powerful countries will never have as much weight or attention given to them. It's also an issue because there has been, throughout history, a notable upset about the U.S.'s involvement in conflict, how they interrupt what people view as interpersonal issues that they don't need an outside party to come in and fix for them. And you have this ongoing problem where people don't respect a third party who jumps in to help resolve a problem faster because they didn't ask for their help and they don't want it. And I think that's an issue that the UN still has yet to resolve. Like, they're respected in most communities, but they don't have a singular reputation for being welcomed into every community that they come in to try and resolve conflict within.